Welcome to this week's interview with the founder of LiquidHash, Nick Campisi, where we're going to talk about the most recent and biggest moves in the world of Bitcoin mining and how to start mining Bitcoin through excess energy sources. So, Nick, thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ryan.
Awesome. So we'll jump right in. So first question I have for you, Nick. In recent Bitcoin news, I'm hearing a lot about the strain on the power grid. Can you explain what that actually means? What is a strain on a power grid, and how would that affect Bitcoin mining?
Yeah, so I think exactly what you're hearing right now is you have a heat wave that has been unusually hot. And so like, for example, like one of the mines I'm involved with, we're curtailing our power during the day to give that power back to the grid so people can cool their homes and have energy and not stress the grid. And what it is it's just so hot that everyone's having to run their air conditioners. And so it's causing this not enough power on the grid. And, if you don't catch that quick enough, you can have blackouts. But that's what makes Bitcoin mining so attractive, is that, we have a load that we can turn off in a millisecond's notice to make that power go to people who need it to keep their homes cool.
Wow, it's really interesting. So I do have another big question. It's a really interesting move in the world of Bitcoin. So I heard that large investment platforms like Fidelity are starting to allow Bitcoin to be added to retirement funds. So in this interesting move, does this present any opportunity for Bitcoin miners specifically?
Yeah, look, man, this is the price is. This is not factored into price right now. I don't think people really like to address that Fidelity thing specifically. If the people that start saving for retirement just start putting a very small percentage of their money into Bitcoin, which I think is going to happen, the price of Bitcoin is going to be much, much, much higher than where it is right now. And then you have BlackRock entering the space, or has entered the space, and are starting to put, the trillions of dollars that they manage, a portion of that into Bitcoin through a spot ETF. That is going to drive up the price of Bitcoin. Now, from a mining standpoint, we now have BlackRock, who's kind of tied with Energy Web, and they're coming out and saying, Bitcoin is ESG friendly because of all the reasons we discuss all the time. Is that we can help with building out renewables. We can use stranded and wasted power, and with them kind of giving that endorsement, I think there's a flood of new capital that's about to come into the space.
Wow. And with that, it looks like the price of Bitcoin is trying to stabilize. Who knows if that's the reason it's stabilizing? There could be so many influential factors in that. But it looks like it's trying to stabilize after the fall in June. Maybe that's a part of it. So what's the best play for Bitcoin miners at this point, seeing the stabilization, that being added to, investment platforms, all that's happening? Should Bitcoin miners be jumping into the game full steam ahead?
Yeah, I think if you've got capital or access to equity capital, raising capital, I think that right now is going to be viewed as one of the better times in recent history to deploy capital into this space. If you go back and look at, 5 years ago, that's probably the last time it was this good of an buying opportunity, I would say. So, yeah, look, we're working tirelessly to add more hash power into our operations. And I think that most of the large miners are doing that. I think some of the miners that have had maybe a little bit too much leverage at the peak last year, they may be having to figure out what they need to do. But, yeah, it's a great time.
Gotcha. So say I was jumping full steam ahead into Bitcoin mining. What's the most logical and profitable way to power a Bitcoin mine with energy still being expensive?
Yeah, look, our main motive of when we started LiquidHash, specifically, we've been in mining in a number of different entities, investors in a number of different miners. at the end of the day, I always said, look, behind the meter, off grid is where we want to be. If anything, we're mothballing large grid projects right now because we just don't see it as sustainable. By the time we make the investments and have the infrastructure and we get PPAs executed and everything that's involved, we're starting to already see, where force majeure events are happening. And, we just don't want that kind of exposure in a risk of our core operating costs. So, we're looking at saying, look, we know we can be off grid at this price, or we know we can be, behind the meter with this deal, then that's the type of stuff we need to go after.
Interesting. So Liquid Hash is all about using this excess energy to power a Bitcoin mine. What if I owned a source of excess energy of some kind, maybe a hydro dam or wind turbines or something, and I want to profit from Bitcoin mining, but I don't necessarily want to own a Bitcoin mine? Does Liquid Hash have any options for me?
Yeah, I mean, we would look at anything. I mean, whether it be a joint venture or, simply if someone did want to own it, we could go out and set it up. Or if you just come in and say, hey, look, I've got X amount of excess power or under monetized power, undervalued, that I'd like to go. I think right now that's probably a little less likely, just with the way things are going. But, there could be certain reasons with excess that they can only take so much into the grid. But right now, yeah, I mean, I think contact us. We'll look at anything. But, we're getting a lot of people right now that are saying, look, we have this gas well. We can't get the gas into market, and we would like some capital to help do some other completions. And, so this is something that we can go into and say, hey, we can help you with the capital part, and we'll take the gas at a rate that makes sense to us and go out and put the power generation in play.
Gotcha. So you're talking about gas wells. So that means Liquid Hash doesn't just work with renewable electric sources of energy. It can also work with petroleum-based energy.
Yeah, but look, we look a lot like, what we're doing with a methane capture as renewable. This is gas that would have otherwise been flared or re-injected into the ground, which would possibly cause other issues, where we can take it and run it through a generator with the right emission standards. And, this is 80 times less effective on the environment than the other options. And so, it is, we view that as a renewable source.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's very interesting. It really looks like this is an opportunity for companies to basically create a second source of revenue. While their hydro dam is running, that's great. And when it's not profitable to run, or their gas wells or whatever, they can power a Bitcoin mine. Has there ever been an opportunity like this before for an energy company in the history of the world?
This is the first, to my knowledge, that you have a load that can be the buyer of first resort and the buyer of last resort.
Wow. It's kind of just like a no-brainer option. It's just almost a free opportunity for you. That's pretty amazing. And there you have it. That's pretty much all for this week. Try to really condense our information and to be as concise and valuable as possible. Thank you so much for the highly valuable information, Nick.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you to everyone for tuning in and listening to this week's episode. If you have any questions or want to start mining Bitcoin with your excess energy source, go to www.liquidhash.com. That's liquiihash.com for more information. We'll see you all next week.